Hello everyone and welcome back. So in this video we are going to discuss how to read ECG and what is ECG. First we will do the introduction of ECG and then we will discuss how to read ECG. So ECG stands for Electrocardiogram and ECG is done in case of the left-sided chest pain. It stands for electrocardiogram and it is a graphic representation of the electrical activity of the heart. ECG machine limbs are attached to the chest and electrical activity of the heart is calculated. Okay, so the things that we will discuss about the ECG is that how to calculate the rhythm of the heart, the rate of the heart, the axis of the heart, and what are P waves, PR waves and Q waves. We will discuss these things each by one. Okay, so first of all, how to read graph in systemic manner. ECG contains 12 leads. There are 3 limb leads, 3 augmented leads and 6 chest leads. The 3 limb leads are 1, 2 and 3. The augmented leads are AVL, AVR, AVF and the chest leads are V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. Now the 3 limb leads and the 3 augmented leads are the electrical activity of the heart in vertical manner on the ECG paper, and the 6th chest lead is the electrical activity of the heart in the transverse manner. So we have discussed that ECG contains 12 leads, the 3 limb leads and the 3 augmented leads and the 6 chest leads. Now the limb leads and the augmented leads calculate the activity of the heart in the vertical manner like this. And the chest leads calculate the electrical activity of the heart in the transverse manner like this. Now we are having ECG paper. It is located like this and it consists of big squares and small squares. This is ECG paper. We have big squares in it and then we have small squares inside it. So the ECG paper looks like this. Now small squares on the ECG are the main focus for the readings. That is, if this is an ECG paper, then this is the small square and the main reading is taken on these squares. We will discuss how. This is the small square of ECG. The diameter of the or length of the small square is 1 millimeter, that is equal to 0.1 milliwatt. This is the 1 millimeter. Both the sides are 1 and 1 millimeter of the small square and the length of 1 millimeter pass in 40 meter per second time. Let's suppose this is an ECG paper. These are the boxes. These are the large boxes and in the large boxes we have 25 small squares inside it. So this one small square, this is the one small square. The length of this side and this side is 1 millimeter. And 1 millimeter is equal to 0.1 milliwatt. And the 1 millimeter area of ECG paper passes in 40 millimeter per second. Okay, so this was about the small square. Now we have large squares in ECG. This is ECG paper. This is the large square. So the length of the large square is 5 millimeter, which is equal to 0.5 milliwatt. And the 5 millimeter or 0.5 milliwatt area passes in 200 meter per second. 200 meter per second. If the 1 millimeter area passes in 40 meter per second, then the 200 area, then the 5 millimeter area passes in the 200 meter per second. Okay, so this was about the small squares and the large squares in the ECG paper. This is the introduction of ECG. First we have learned that what is ECG, how many leads are in ECG. Then we have discussed that it consists of small squares and large square. So what is the diameter of the small square and in how much time it passes? And then what is the diameter of the large square and in how much time the large square passes through the ECG paper. Okay, now the speed of ECG. So the speed of ECG is 25 millimeter per second. It means that the 5 big squares or 25 small squares pass in 1 second. For example, this is ECG. These are 5 large squares, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And in each one big square there are 5 small squares. So 5 into 5 is equal to 25 squares. So these 5 squares in the ECG passes in 1 second. So we can say that the speed of ECG is 25 millimeter per second. That is 5 big squares or 25 small squares passes in 1 second on the ECG. Now how we will calculate the duration of only one square? So we will divide this 5 by 1, that is 1 divided by 5. This is the duration of the one big square, which is 0.2 second. And the duration of the one small square is 0.2 divided by 5, which is 0.04. So the duration of the small square is 0.04 seconds. So we have discussed that in how much time the ECG paper passes, or what is the duration of one small square, or what is the duration of one large square. So the small square is 0.04 second and the large square is 0.2 second. Now the steps of the reading ECG. We have discussed up till now that what is ECG, what are the chest leads, how ECG is calculated, what are small squares, what are the large squares, and in how much time the ECG paper passes, in how much time the small square pass, and in how much time the large square pass. Now we will come towards the steps to read ECG. ECG standardization, that is standard calibration, is 1 milliwatt, 10 millimeter or 10 small squares or 2 large square. This is the ECG standardization, standard calibration, and it is equal to 1 milliwatt, that is 10 millimeter or 10 small squares or 2 large squares. One small square is equal to 0.1 milliwatt and 1 small square is equal to 0.1 milliwatt, as we have discussed here. This is the one small square and this is equal to 0.1 milliwatt. So the 10 small squares will be equal to 0.1 multiplied by 10, that is 10 milliwatt. Okay, 10 not 1 milliwatt. 10 small square 0.1 multiplied by 10, so it is equal to 1 milliwatt. So this is the ECG standardization. This is present on the ECG paper. For example, this is ECG paper and these are the blocks. So this will be present like this, and this is used in ECG as a standard, and this is equal to 1 milliwatt, that is 10 small squares or 2 large squares. Now first of all, ECG standardization is checked. If it is 1 milliwatt, means ECG is standard. If not, then patient is asked to ECG again. For example, if you want to know that is this ECG is a correct or not, or is this is done truly in a right method or not, so first of all you will look toward this standardization sign. If this is equal to 1 milliwatt, then the ECG is the correct one ECG. If it is not equal to 1 milliwatt, then the ECG is false and the patient is asked to repeat the ECG again. Okay, so first of all, now come towards that how rhythm is calculated. In the steps to read ECG, first of all the rhythm is calculated. This is the rhythm. To check heart is beating regularly or irregularly, rhythm is calculated for this purpose. To check that the heart is beating regularly or irregularly. These are the chest leads. This is 1, 2 and 3. These are the chest leads, AVR, AVL and AVF. And these are V10, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. So these 1, 2, 3 and AVR, AVL, AVF. These calculate the heart rate in vertical manner. Vertical. And these chest leads V1, V2, V3, V4, these calculate the heart rate in transverse manner. Okay, so the ECG is checked on this two lead. Whenever you want to see if there is any abnormality in the heart or not, you will look at this lead 2 on the ECG. The heart pattern will be present on this lead and you will check for this. So this is the heart pattern. The heart is beating like this. This is extra 2 pattern and this is called rhythm state. This extra 2 strip is called rhythm strip, and the number of squares are checked between the RR interval. For rhythm, the number of squares are checked between the RR interval. First of all, the regular rhythm or normal sinus rhythm. Equal squares between the RR intervals are present, and P wave is present before the QRS complex. While in the irregular rhythm, unequal RR intervals are present and no identifiable P wave is present. Then in the irregular, we are having two types, that is irregularly irregular and regularly irregular. So in irregularly irregular, the example is atrial fibrillation and multifocal atrial tachycardia. While in the regularly rhythm with regular drop beat, we are having the example second degree heart block. So let's revise the rate, how rhythm is calculated in the ECG. What is rhythm? It is checked to find whether the heart is beating regularly or irregularly. So, in the regular rhythm, we will count the number of squares between the RR interval. This is ECG pattern. This is P, Q, R, S and T. P, Q, R, S and T. P, Q, R, S and T. These are R waves. So, to calculate the rhythm, we will calculate the number of squares between the RR waves. These are RR waves. So the number of squares are calculated between these RR waves. If it is equal number of squares in all each RR waves, then the rhythm is regular. That is, the heartbeat is regular. P wave is present before QRS complex in the regular rhythm like this. This is P, this is QRS. This is P, this is QRS. This is P, this is QRS. So P is present before the QRS, and between the RR intervals there are equal number of squares. So this means that the rhythm is regular or normal sinus rhythm. In irregular rhythm, we will count the squares between the RR interval. If these are irregular, that is, let's suppose in each R wave there is 3 squares, then in this there are 2 large squares. In the next R there are 4 R waves. So this rhythm is irregular. Now in irregular rhythm, we are having two types of irregularity. Whether the heart is beating irregular. For example, we are having 3 boxes in one RR interval, then 2 in another, and then 4 in another, and then 1 in another. So the beats are also irregular and the rhythm is also irregular. So this is irregularly irregular rhythm. While the regularly regular rhythm, we are having RR waves. We will calculate the intervals between the RR waves and it will repeat the pattern like, for example, here we are having the 2 big squares, then 3. There here 2, then 3, 2 and 3. So this is irregular, but it is repeating a regular pattern. So this is the regularly irregular rhythm. The example of irregularly irregular rhythm is atrial fibrillation and multifocal atrial tachycardia. Okay, atrial fibrillation and multifocal atrial tachycardia. While in the regularly irregular pattern, we are having the example of second degree heart block, which is also known as type 2 heart block. Now coming towards the rate of the heart, how we will calculate the rate from the ECG.